So it's your boy, gospel producer Donovan Capron here in sunny Fort Lauderdale. And if you owe me money, you know exactly where to find me. Or if I owe you money and you bill collector,
Yeah, like the meme, like don't no
my
no.
name is John Noah.
Well, man, it's good to have you on the show, calling in and all this goodness. Uh, yeah, good to have. I figured you'd be the perfect person to start this new segment with. Yeah, you. For you guys
Me?
who don't know, uh, Donovan Capron or DC and I went to high school together, and we worked on a lot of projects, including my first album. He featured in my second album. That's Euphoria, and the second one is called A Battle. And he featured in some songs on that record. And he recently did Bulldozer with me. And
Yeah.
dude, like we've been at it. We've been at it for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. I love being, first of all, I just want to say I'm honored. Ellis is one of the greatest musicians that I know. This guy has a work ethic like nobody's business. And every time I hear him play, it just sounds like he gets better, better, and better.
Mm-hmm.
And like when we're in the studio recording, there is just times where like I'm like, hey, I got an idea. I know it's pretty much impossible, but hey, let's try it anyway. And some way, somehow, this guy like just pulls something, some kind of magical something out of nowhere, and just
Uh,
how do you do that?
Dude, it's just imaginations. Imaginations. But it's always great to have somebody that can push me creatively, and you know, definitely glad to have you on the show. So let's start this off with the first question.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what you do for a living.
Well, I own a yacht, and
I'm about to say, you never told me that. I'll fly down there right now. You going to the
100
Bahamas?
acres of land.
Yeah.
So right now, I am managing a performing arts theater down in Miami called the Julius Littman Theater, and that is one of the greatest joys I get to have because I get to work with a lot of people um, doing music, doing plays, doing productions, doing everything. Anything that happens on the stage, I have my hand in it, and I really get a chance to really help people hands on. From people who have been on Broadway to people who are just starting their first production, it's amazing. And then I also do, like Ella said from before, gospel production. And so basically how it works is most of the time, or most of the people that I work with, are remote clients, and I never met them face to face. And what they do is they just basically send me either their vocal or their instrumental track, and we sit together and we come up with something, and something that everybody can enjoy, something that can withstand the test of time and that everybody will love. So it's definitely a joy to be able to work in that capacity.
That's crazy, man. What's the name of the Performing Arts Center again?
That is the Julius Littman Theater.
Hmm.
Julius Littman Theater. All right, okay.
So,
Yeah,
so what kind of artists have you worked with so far?
So I
Other
work primarily with a lot of
the ones that matter.
so I work primarily with a lot of gospel artists because that's my background, that's my forte, and a lot of jazz artists. Most of them are local. As far as when it comes to like doing gigs and stuff. But like I was saying from before, the majority of my business actually comes from remote clients. So it's everybody, like people in China, people in Africa, some of everybody. My last customer was somebody from France.
Wow.
So it's definitely interesting having a chance to figure out the language barriers sometimes, and also uh, having a chance to culturally understand them and add that to the music that I'm producing. So what I do is I basically learn what is going on in that culture, that area, and I also learn what have they done in the past, so that they kind of have a reference point of, I'm not taking them too far away from anything that they've already done, but I have a chance to understand what goes on culturally, because sometimes different patterns and different beats, different styles can make an artist move a certain way, and make their crowd move a certain way.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a point that you want to drive home, because you don't want to necessarily do reggae music in a place that never really had it and they don't understand it. So
Yeah.
but if you do, it's definitely something where you would want to use elements from where they're from, so they can kind of understand a little bit more.
Yeah, like the pretty much the phrase "music is the universal language" definitely plays true when it comes to what you do.
Yes.
Definitely, yes. So this comes to the next question. You mentioned, you work with gospel artists and jazz artists. Now, the episode today is gospel jazz. Now, now, I have. I'm pretty sure everybody has their own idea about what gospel jazz is. They probably have like a simplified version. I mean, most people would say, "What would you say gospel jazz is, Christine?"
Regular jazz with gospel lyrics.
You literally said the opposite of what I thought you were going to say. I would have said gospel music, but instrumental instruments, just instruments, no lyrics. But yeah, like how would you describe the genre of gospel jazz?
Okay, so if I had to describe gospel jazz, the one thing that I see that jazz kind of focuses on is expression. So when you take expression and you're not really bound by anything, that's been mostly the premise of jazz. You take your time, whether it's free form, whether it's classical, or even smooth jazz. Your color palette is not necessarily bound to anything, and then you take that and you put it in a gospel perspective, and it's like now you're getting a chance to express yourself in a worship and praise environment,
Yeah.
where there's not necessarily any chains or anything like that holding you back. A lot of musicians, they get a chance to actually improv, and there's no set boundaries, versus some things that you may have, like a CCM gospel, or different forms of gospel. It's kind of like the energy and everything and the emotion is still there, but the form is kind of set in place, where there's not much wiggle room of this is what we rehearsed, so this is exactly what we're gonna get.
Yeah, yeah. No,
And make sure you keep in that pocket.
yeah, it's definitely true because I mean, I know a lot of younger cats will listen to jazz, and a lot of them will take hip hop, pop music, R&B, and then they'll just play over it, or they'll just play the lyrics. And yeah, in most of the sense, you can do that with a gospel song, but it's just something different when you're there performing live and people are receiving. It's almost like you're receiving something different. It's not just, oh, they're receiving something from this, from this guy's soul. Now you're literally receiving the anointing as somebody is playing. And it's just, I've met a lot of great gospel jazz artists, especially in Richmond. One in particular, Greg Amos. If you ever get a chance to look him up, Gregory Amos, very cool cat, sax player. He puts his all into that thing when he plays. And you feel it. Mm-hmm. And they don't need a lot of crazy notes and bebop to do it either. So yeah, it's definitely something deep in gospel jazz, even though people like to look at gospel jazz like it's lower than smooth jazz. Like gospel jazz, I'm still trying to understand smooth jazz. So
yeah, well, the thing about jazz is there's just so many different styles, and the main thing behind jazz itself is improv. Like there's a whole bunch of other things that are built around jazz, but the foundation of it, the improv and putting everything forth, the idea, the expression, the basis for it is jazz.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is jazz. I mean, now I know you might have like your rock and everything where there's improv and rock, but for the most part, even rock was, when it first started out, rock and roll was based off of jazz, which was,
Blues.
it came from blues.
All that stuff. Yeah.
So it's still the foundation.
Tell them.
So who do you consider to be the best gospel producer out here now? Or I guess in the past too, you could say in the past.
Ooh.
All right. Well, I have to give it to him. I mean, there are a lot. You definitely got your Richard Smallwood. You got Donald Lawrence. You got there's a ton of them, but one person that has withstand the test of time and is undoubtedly one of the best is Kirk Franklin. I have to give it to him.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because at the end of the day, a gospel producer should be able to help with the writing process. They should be able to help formulate tracks if possible.
Mm-hmm.
But the one biggest thing that a producer is supposed to do is bring the best out of an artist. And he has done that time and time and time again. He works closely with Tamala Mann, and Tamala Mann is just bringing home them awards, man. She is doing it. I mean, you off the top of your head, you can name off a whole bunch of Tamala Mann songs. I mean, Take Me to the King, Now Behold the Lamb. I mean, whenever they get together, it's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
True.
So I would have to say definitely Kirk Franklin. He's just been that dude. Like I can't say that there's been a time where he's just done a garbage track.
True.
That I know of.
You could almost say like a producer is almost as good as his artist, but in his case, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. He'll probably make anybody sound great and believable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am a big Kirk Franklin fan, so
she is. She's a huge Kirk Franklin fan.
Even though I'm recently finding out a lot of his songs are sampled, but it's okay because he done did it for the Lord, so that's all that matters.
But see,
I'm sampling for the Lord.
Look. So see, that's when you're supposed to do the key. The keys are a cue. So check it.
I got you.
Okay, so look, so threw me off with that one. Now it's cool you said that yes, he did a lot of sampling, but I think he did something that's very comparable to like what Puff Daddy did in the '90s, or P Diddy, or Puff, or Diddy.
Whoever you want to call him.
However you want to. Sean Combs.
Yes.
Anyway, he was able to take older stuff and cross over the genre, like in general, because he took hip hop and he made older folks at the time, they were, the main generation, but he was able to have them listen to the new stuff and be like, oh, this is interesting. Mm-hmm. I mean, countless people from our generation, like when we was in high school listening to Rebirth.
Yeah.
Know how many songs we played over that? Stomp.
Hey, I still
Stomp
got
was the first one.
tapes.
Yeah. Just taking taking artists, like mainstream artists, or taking older songs, sampling it, and then making it new for the Lord. Yeah.
Yeah. He's definitely been that man. Like, and a lot of people knock sampling, but I gotta say, it really takes a creative mind to take a sample and flip it. Like,
it's an art.
A lot of people like to knock Kanye West, but I've seen some of the samples that he's flipped, and man, let me tell you, it takes a creative genius to flip a sample. It is not easy. It is not easy at all. So.
Cool.
Only.
So now I gotta ask this question, because you also play in church, correct?
Yes.
You played in church many times.
Yeah.
And I know every church musician sees some crazy things that goes on during service. Yeah, I see that expression. Tell us your craziest moment that you've experienced during church service while you was up there playing.
Okay, so I mean, this is probably not the craziest one, but it's definitely up there. Uh, I done seen so much. I done seen people trip and fall.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've seen a lot of videos.
Oh Lord. Okay, so I went to my homeboy's church. This is back in high school.
All right.
Went to my homeboy's church, and he was like, "Yeah, man, why don't you come through, come play some drums?" I'm like, "All right, no problem. I'll come play some drums." So I get there, and I just finished tuning up the drum set, and the first lady comes out, and out of nowhere, I'm talking like, you know how you play like Grand Theft Auto and like you just like pull guns out of nowhere? Like she pulls this bass drum out of nowhere, like this giant 30-inch like marching bass drum. And the pastor gets these band cymbals. And then there's like another guy with like a washboard, and um it gets better. Like there was this bass player that was there, and like he plays with his eyes closed, and like he just hits strings. And my friend comes in and he was like, "Yeah, man, so yeah, we getting ready to do these songs, and they're gonna do, you know, some upbeat, some old school songs and everything like that." And all I could think was, man, what did my friends just get me into? Like, I don't know if it would have been offensive to laugh, but I couldn't hold it. I just bust out.
uh, did I ever tell you about the time when I ran into Pinky in his church?
From Friday?
Yes.
Oh no.
Not the original, but he was definitely a copy. So this was not too long ago. It was still when I was living in Florida, or when I moved back, and it was just, they hit me up, I think via email. I don't know how they got me, but they emailed me and said, "Hey, can you come through? I was under the impression it was rehearsal, and it was a paid rehearsal." So they gave me the songs. I was like, "All right, cool. They about to be on. I'm about to be practicing. I'm ready."
This
I
is
go
your
there.
day.
So I'll have to explain that one later now. So so we get there, and I'm in regular clothes. I'm in, like, you know, polo shorts, and then I start seeing people coming in. You know, some people are dressed. There's like different types of people from all over. There's, you know, all sorts of ethnicities and people, and I'm like, this is interesting. Okay. The vocalists are practicing. I'm like, okay, they sound decent, I guess. And then I see the people come in, and I'm just like, is this a rehearsal? This doesn't look like a rehearsal. And then the pastor comes in, 2 women on his arms, wearing one of them. Yes, wearing one of them suits.
Did he have a pinky ring?
I don't know. He probably had rings on all of his fingers. And then he had Jerry curls, as long as my hair. Yes, Jerry curl. And then he comes to me. He says, "Excuse me, excuse me, brother. What you wearing today?" He literally said it like that. And I'm like, "I thought it was a rehearsal." "No, brother, this is church." And I'm like, "But it's a Wednesday." It's Wednesday.
Wednesday night service.
It wasn't no nighttime. And then this, God, I had to ask God to forgive me after this. So I'm just thinking, at this point, I'm plotting my escape. I'm like, I have to get out of here before this starts, because I don't know what I'm doing with this music. We haven't rehearsed. I'm just here. And when he said, "Everybody bow your heads," I picked up the horn. I told my cousin that was with me, I said, "Grab my case." And we walked out of there so smooth. went straight to the car and got out of there. And I felt so bad, but I just felt so uncomfortable there. It was just like, what? Pinky? Pastor Pinky? It's Pinky. Like, come on.
That's funny.
Oh man, yeah. But anyway, thank you, man. Thank you for being our first guest.
Yes.
Definitely had a lot of fun. You know, we could literally talk all day. I hope the people enjoy and appreciate this, and we believe you have a performance for us later on in the show that everybody is gonna catch on. And before we go, tell us, give us any sneak peeks of any projects you have coming up.
So I will very soon. I'll be releasing one small little single. It's me playing keyboard. It's a song that is kind of dear to me because it's a song about people living their best life. The premise that I got in order to do it was I saw a lot of people at a time, they were committing suicides. So this was something that was dear to me because there's a lot of friends that I had that, you know, were going through suicidal tendencies and everything. So it's called Look to Jesus Now and Live. It's a song that was public domain. So I'm just recovering it. And the whole premise behind it is to help battle with people that are dealing with depression, dealing with suicidal thoughts, and dealing with some other things along those same lines.
Wow.
And then another project that I have coming on is I'm working with a woman by the name of Simone. She's getting ready to release her first single. So this is a high energy shout song that, you know, once you hear it, you just have to pick up your feet and just start moving and start dancing. Like, if it got me in the studio dancing while I'm making it, like you know it's fire.
That's what's up, man. That's cool. Man, well, shoot, I think that's a wrap.
Yeah.
Tell our followers how they can follow you, check out your music, all that good stuff.
So it's my name, Donovan Capron, at Gmail. You can definitely reach me by Gmail if you need to get some music done. You can check out my samples on YouTube. My full name, Donovan Capron, on YouTube. And I am also the only Donovan Capron on Facebook and Instagram.
Oh,
I am jealous.
nice.
I am jealous. I'm very jealous. Well, all right, man. We'll go ahead and catch you later. And thank you.
Thanks, Donovan.
For being on the line.
You got it.